Right, here we go, guys. Was going to record the rebuild of the PS5 controller, but forgot to turn the recorder on, so this is going to be in reverse. We're going to actually rebuild it and put it back together. So I've got loads of them to do, so I'll do the other way around another time. It's just one of those things that happen. Okay, let's see what we got. Right, first these are the sensors that well, actually microphones, I believe. Originally I thought they might be tilt sensors, but I think they are actually microphones. It's two of them, and they do break so easily trying to get them out. The ribbon cables are poorly made. You don't really want sharp angles on the ribbon cables because they just tear as easy as anything. Just there, as you can see. The other bad bit is the actual tag you use to take them out with or replace them. They when they've been in situ a while, they bent the wrong way, and it makes them very difficult to get out. Right, on we go. This one I've got a damaged bottom case. I think that was all that's wrong with this one. There's a job light I brought. Yeah, you can see there it's broken. So what I've done is brought quite a few shells and they're alleys, and I've got to say they're quite good quality, to be honest. Every part seems to fit nicely. The only thing I need at the moment is the touch sensors that I can't find after having a good look, because I've got quite a few of them broken. These are a little bit tight to get apart. You just need to be a little bit patient with them. There we go. Otherwise you'll end up breaking bits off. Okay, now technically this bit on the other one's fine, but I'm going to put a new one on it. Keeps it looking pretty. Oh, the first thing to put in is always the sensor. Now, it can be a little bit of a Chinese puzzle. Once you get it in the right place, the thing just falls in. But until you do, it can be a real pain. So that sits in there like that. Always slide the front in, so it just sort of rocks over, and these two lugs here, these two, actually line up and drop in. So that's that part. Sorry about the funny angle, but it's because I'm sitting across the other side of my bench, and so I'll give you a bit more of a close up of that so you can see that. That's that part. Right, well, the next part I put in is the this is the microphone mute button. This one's got my word, talk about finger muck. That's not too bad. Right, now be very careful with these because these break as easy as pie. You've got two little tiny clips on the front, just there, and they just snap off so easy. So when you're putting them in, be very careful that you just do one at a side, don't bend both at once, just ease one in and then the other, like so. There's one, and then just ease that up part just slightly away, and in you go. Like so. Just check that it's in and that it pushes and returns, like so. Possibly not the best for focus with this because I am zoomed in so far. I need to perhaps zoom back a little bit. That's probably too far. Right. Is that focusing? Yeah. Okay. Right, so that's the mic mute button. I'll just check that's in again. Right, so next we got the PS button. Gets all the finger cheese off, as I call it. Finger cheese. don't look too bad. Alright, sorry if I keep wandering off that camera. It's just that I'm working at a strange angle here. Okay, looks a bit better. Right, okay now then, that goes in. Can't remember which way around it goes. Well, I think it's that way, if I can get hold of it. Okay, goes like so. Then you got your rubber pad with your carbon button on. These are strange because the little tiny pegs that go through is about 30 times the size of the hole in the plastic. It doesn't look possible for it to fit, but it does. Right, now over here on this part, when you take these off, be very careful because these tear. These not a very good rubber. So when you take them out, try and ease them out bit by bit all the way around, and you'll be fine. And then putting them back. Now, you know what, I can't remember which way around that came out. That way, I think. There's an arrow on it facing, yeah, there's an arrow facing forward. I don't think you can see the arrow just there. You have to make sure you push it right down on the pegs, and it does go down quite a way. It's the actual button return mechanism. Okay, like so. Right, now let's look at these buttons. These look like they need a bit of a... Right, okay. As I said, probably been a better job just to drop all these into the ultrasonic cleaner. That's okay. See what his arms are like. They don't look too bad, the other ones. Yeah, there's a bunch of, I think it's about 10 of these I got off of eBay for about £110, I think, something like that, including shipping. So far, virtually repaired all 10, apart from I need 2 of these that I've not found sources for at the moment. So that's the only thing I've got to sort out. They all look okay. Cool. Now all they've got to do is remember which way they go in and get them back in. Right, and we'll drop that in. The little peg goes to the inside, like so. I don't know if you can see that okay. Yeah, just about. So if I can move across a little bit to put it slightly centre of frame, it just means that for me it's all sitting cockeyed. But that's not so bad. Right, now, buttons. I love these because I never remember which way they come out and where they come out from. That one's that one. Like Chinese puzzles. I love these. I can't remember which one I took out there, huh? I suppose it'd be easier to look at the front, see what button it is, wouldn't it? Not that that helps, because I don't use one. I don't play with the games, I use my Xbox occasionally, so I'm not 100% sure which way around these came out. I suppose I could look at one, make life easier. I've got loads of them sat here. Let's have a look. Right, it's cross at the bottom. Oh, it's the triangle, that goes near the front, that's that one. Rotate and drop in, like so. Crosses at the bottom, and therefore that must be that one. Rotate and drop in. There we go. Right, again, like I said, these are a little bit strange to put on. They don't feel like they're going to go on, but they do. There we go. So that's one side together. The other side's pretty straightforward really, just drop in and pop the top on. I say all these parts are quite relatively cheap from Ali, makes these reasonably serviceable. I don't think there's a lot of electrical parts there yet, although they've got these sensors, which is a big bonus. Right, okay, that's looking pretty okay for the moment. So let's put this one back up there. If anybody has seen the supply for these pads, it's the whole. You can get the top separately, these which I've got. They screw on with these two screws here, but it's the board underneath. So if you've seen any on that, if you can send me a link, I would appreciate that. Right, so next thing is you put the inner chassis back in. That's this thing here. It carries the motors. Don't want to be that far out there. Oh, don't want that close. Really could do one. There we go. Yeah, it's the inner chassis carries the frame. There's two different types. Although the outers are the same, the chassis are slightly different. One has this white piece in and one doesn't. Other than that, they're pretty much the same. So, right, I'm going to drop this in. We're going to get that ribbon cable up through here. Like so. And with that, it virtually just falls straight in. There's no real problems with that. And just drop in the two motor screws. So as I can see, the screws are all the same size apart from two, and that's the two that go in this white bar, and they are normally silver as opposed to black, but I've actually come across with different colours of screw. They don't seem to be consistent. Some are silver, some are black, all black, and some are black and silver. They do sets of screws online. Ali's got them, which is helpful. So that's them screws in. Right, as I say, the two silver screws, they go right through the white moulding and they go down into the touch panel and centre button, like so. Right, okay, so that's the mid-assembly virtually together. As you can see, all the buttons all feel good. Good to check them before you take it all apart. Don't take too much notice of these two here, because until the board's in, the tactile sensors are on the board, and they also help push the buttons back in. Right, and here's the board. Nice. Not a bad little bit of kit actually. Just pop that out of the way. Quick of a brush. You got the speaker in the centre. That will fall off normally when you take the board out, and when you put it back, it does have to go around a certain way. If you look, there's two contacts on the board, and there's two little spring contacts on the speaker. Just make sure they line up, and it'll be fine. As you can see, that's the board. These are the little tactile buttons that go on the two buttons at the front I mentioned. We'll tip her over. As I say, there you go. Quite a nice little board. Right, so we'll now pop this together. So I'll just get these again. These just fold the motor leads back so they don't get caught underneath, he says, because again, when you're recording, things don't work. Be careful you don't catch these ribbon cables. They are so flimsy. Like that, I'll drop in. I've just got to make sure we get this ribbon cable out of the works. Like so. Okay, that's in there. What I tend to do here is I just put a screw in the centre, It normally goes through the battery holder, but if you don't want to put the battery holder in yet, because you won't get the wires in and the other bits, so just popping that in stops the buttons pushing the board back out again. Okay. Right, these ribbon cables. Again, these are very flimsy. Yeah, I can't really show on that. They on these you've got this like a tag. I don't know if you can see this dark piece. It is separate. It separates from the ribbon, as you can see here. You've got like a tab. The best way to put these in is to get yourself. Pair tweezers is not quite strong enough. I use these grips. They've got no teeth or serrations in them at all, and it's great because you can just literally hold the back of the thick bit of whatever it is to actually pop them in. Like so. I'm just going to check that with my eyes closely. Yeah, that seems fine. And the other one, try not to pinch the actual ribbon cable as well. It does separate. You just have to gently ease them in behind it. Be careful you don't tear the thing. They are available, but as I say, they are pretty weak. I'm just going to pick this one up because you need to make sure that when you get the cable in line that is dead square. If it goes over to one side and try and push it in, it will rip. Again, for the front one, just push it in until the line is level with the front. You know it's completely in them. Right, now the slightly awkward bit, and that's these two sensors. One has to go in the front here, in there, and the other one sits in the battery tray. But this one on the front, problem with it is you've got to feed this part through the front, and the slot that it goes through is very, very tight, and it's a job to get it through without catching and tearing the darn thing. But what we'll do, just bear with me a second, just try and, you see this bit here, and I'll probably try and show you, it's a bit small and fiddly. The tab that goes in, and I don't think you're going to see this, hang on, so we'll hold it with tweezers. On here, you can see it's like a T shape. Yeah, well that's because it's where it's fitted, it's pushed that, it normally should be flat that way, like so. You need to make sure that it is flat before you try putting it in, because if you don't, you'll get caught up. But make sure you bend it the way that the ribbon needs to go. I'm going to have to unhook that again, because I'd rather push it through and pull it. By pulling it, it can tear. Alright, okay, now it's dropped in. As you can see, it also sits over that clip here. What you've got to be careful of, once it is on there and you move anything, it's very easy to actually split the ribbon. So just be aware. And these bits of rubber come off as well, which is a real sob because you can lose them so easy. Like I said, these are real fiddly. Because the cable fattens up, you've got to sort of move it around to get the thing through the hole. I don't like pulling on them, so there we go. If you can push it in, it's a lot better. And then try and get the clip in after this other section. The front has to hook under there. There we go. Alright, I think we're in. like so. Okay, right, then of course you can pop this end in. Again, like I said before, if you use a pair of tweezers or something on the tweezers, are not too bad on these tiny cables, but I find to hold the larger ones they don't want to know, and then pop them in the socket like so. So there you go, that's the front sensor on. Now it's a good idea to put your wires back on from your rumble sensors. The other thing that I've not yet found on here, these little caps, they actually come off and they're just like a rubber bearing, so that when you put the top on, they sit in the slots, or on, I think they push down on something. Yeah, there we go, they sit in these here. They come off as well. I've had them where they're missing. The trouble is, when they rumble they tend to rattle. But as yet I haven't found them, but what I have found, use some silicon pure line and just cut up a very thin ring that's just slightly bigger than the moulding knobbly bit underneath. That peg, just a little bit thicker, so when it sits over it, it just means it squashes when you clamp it all up and it stops any vibration. Right, let's get these oodly things put back on. Red goes to the front. I always find these wires far longer than they need to be, all the solder on bits. And I just snip them down a little bit and get a far better joint. You always have bits of wire hanging everywhere. Okay, that one. And this one. There we go. Right, we'll whop these back on. Right, okay, I waffle. Let's get this back together. So now we've got the battery box. That basically just is pretty straightforward, just pops in. Thing to watch is that the motor leads tuck under these little arms here. Okay, so we'll now pop a screw in there. I've already popped a screw in there. No, I haven't. Of course I did. I popped a screw in there to hold the board in, didn't I? Thanks for telling me. Right. There we go. Okay, so next thing is the other sensor. And here's the other sensor. This one's not quite so awkward. I've lost my tweezers. There we go. Again, this one you can mount first. It just hooks under, he says. That's because I'm trying to do it. There we go. So that hooks under there. I'll try to show you a bit closer if I can. Yeah, focused. That end here, this there, that bit of a ribbon hooks on that little piece there. Okay, and then it's just a case of just hold it gently with your finger so it doesn't pop out. And then I'm going to have to get in closer because I can't see for toffee. Get hold of that little tag I was telling you about. Just be very careful. You line it up so you don't tear it and pop it in. Right, like so. Let's see if it'll focus. There you go. Right, so now we're ready to put the battery in. It goes in with the black to your left if you got it with the battery connector away from you. And then these wires, they tuck down and they go under this little clip. That's there. I'll just get them in, there you go. Oh, I'll show you. There you go, just on that plastic clip there. So that's sort of basically it together. So what we need to do now is to, I think we're in a good place. We can check the functions, make sure everything's going to stay together. Okay, right, I'm just going to nip over to the computer. Alright, I don't know if you can see all of it, but anyway, we'll give it a go. That's the up and down on the left button. Left and right trigger. I haven't got the buttons in for the bumpers, but I'll do that in a minute. Stick. Oops, I knew I should have screwed that together. Just push the button, pushed it apart. Okay, now the front button, yeah, and two buttons at the front, one left and right, and the four buttons, sticks. Okay, well it's all basically working. The problem I got here, every time I'm pushing the button, it's pushing it apart. So what I should do is put the rest of it together and then test it again. So it's basically all working. I haven't made any silly mistakes putting it together. That's what I'm looking for at the moment. Right, let's get back to the camera. There we go. I don't know why that don't work. For some reason or other, Firefox at the moment, it's had an update recently, and since I updated it, it's been nothing but problems. Let's get back to where we were. So everything is working. Final look. Okay, so next job is to pop the other half on. This can be a bit of a pain sometimes. Sometimes it's easy, sometimes it ain't. You need to get the front hooked in the right place. Sometimes it'll just fall in, other times it won't, and then you have to slightly pull it apart and then click the front in, and then two here, you can see these two here, the ones that break off, just pop them together. Okay, and that's that together. Now if you want to put the stick rings on these, I'll stick those in the cleaner and put some new ones on. You can get different colours, of course. I'm going to replace these with the standard colour, keep them like new. They're a little bit of a pain to get in because you've got to get them lined up, and sometimes they go straight in and sometimes they're a bummer. That's gone straight in by the looks of it. Hang on. There we go, that one's in. That's better. Okay, grab another new one. This is probably going to be boring for some, but I thought it might be of interest. Getting them apart can be a pain. This is probably why I got so many broken ones, because they're all broken in the same way. I'll show you. The secret is getting the first layer off. That one's on. This thing here, that. Now, this is the original one that was on it. So let's see what it's like. The clips can get broke, but this one actually looks okay. Covered in toes, and I think I'll put a new one on and stick that in the cleaner. And these are glossy where the other ones are matte, that's all. Okay, before we do that, let's put some screws in. Right up underneath where you pop the bumper on, because to get this part you have to pop these bumpers out. These pop out ever so easy. I'll show you. this is where they all break. People try and get these apart without really knowing how to get them apart, and because consequently what happens is they try forcing them apart and they break the lugs, which are under here, and also the ones under here. So you end up having to change the whole case because somebody didn't know what they were doing. Can't remember how much they were. They weren't very expensive, got to be honest. It's for an alley product, these are actually very good. I haven't tried fitting a Sony half with an alley half yet. That might be a different story. So that one didn't line up with the hole. There we go. Don't over tighten these either, because they'll pull the screw into the top piece. They're not particularly very strong, and what they do, they actually break away. If I want to show you, that's the, you can see the eyelet there. Where are we on the camera? Put it on that way. Where the screws go through these, and they go through into these there. But what breaks, it's not that, this bit here breaks out. This little gusset here comes out, snaps out. So all that's wrong with that is that front, so I'm going to keep that with that as a probably for my bench one, which has got an it's virtually brand new, so if anybody needs a case we can let them know that one. This could be a bit of a fiddly farty thing too, getting these to line up and go in. Right, once you've got them sat like so, be careful you don't break these arms, but you've got to get the shoulder here both in first, like so, then work down, and for this end piece you need to just gently ease it over and sort of work it in. Now if it's not lined up it won't drop in, it just drops straight in. This is how you get them apart. To start with, you have to get something very soft, like a very thin plastic blade or plastic pry, lift under here and just pop that up, then go down this strip, pop that out both sides. That's the first thing to do. Let's just try and get this one back in. Alright, so pop that up a little bit. You can see where it's got to go, it's twisting the wrong way, which means that it's not gone in somewhere here. Alright, there you go, pops in. And there's the, make sure the button, these buttons don't stick out very far, they're only just pressable for the mute. And then here you just need to work this in a bit, like so. Yeah, that's not too bad. Right, now these things, the bumpers and the triggers, that's on the left, so they just literally slot in. Give that a bit of a wipe. There we go. It just slots in through here. To get those out, as I was saying, it's just a little pry in the top and just pop them out, as simple as that. It's the trouble with having fingers that are numb, drop things all over the place. Right, there's one, there's t'other. Right, so in, they're on. Yeah, all feels nice and good. And that's about it. Get that clean. I will now test it, but it's a pain trying to put it up on the screen, so I should do it on the screen. And there you are. The reverse of getting these apart, as I say, is you need to pop these out here very carefully and then ease these off the black bit, so the shoulders here and here, then up and out. When you take all the pop the bumpers out, take 2 screws out the front, 2 from under here, But when you do it, make sure you just use your thumbnail or something, just put a little bit of pressure between the two surfaces. And those two clips here, I use a little tiny trimmer with a little tiny blade on it, just to go underneath and just lift it so that they come off. Otherwise they will break. There's no two ways about it. They just snap off. I'm trying to show you what I'm on about if I can. There they are. These two here, them two. So when these are together and they're clipped over in there, there's the two little lugs. As I say, all you do is just put that under, just a little tiny lift, and it's in two. Saves a lot of grief because they do snap so easy. Right, well there you go folks. I hope that'll be of some help, of interest. If not, tough luck.